I know Chiggs is in here recording. So.
No Chid Smooth in here, right? So whatever you say,
you know, Chig gonna have everything up there.
Whatever you say, Chid's gonna be on YouTube with it, man.
Gillie does not want to be compared to any of you black podcasters, or does he? Now, you guys know there's been a bunch of lists that came out over the last year and a half, the top black podcasts in the urban space. The list has pretty much stayed the same. Obviously, you got Joe Budden Podcast, you got Nori Drink Champs, Rap Radar is always there, The Pivot, Rory and Maul, Academics Off the Records, It Is What It Is, snuck in last year. Obviously, you got Gillie and Wallow Podcast, The Breakfast Club. Now, obviously, a lot of these lists are put together by fans. They're not actually meant to be taken seriously, kind of like B-Dot anytime he drops his top 10 albums of the year list. It's only meant to start a conversation between fan bases of the podcast, but Gillie sees it a whole different way. According to Gillie, they're always trying to pit black podcasts against each other, but you never see them doing it to white podcasts. Here's what Gillie said.
I was worth a game real quick, because I woke up and I jumped on the gram, and the first thing that came by said the top black podcast of 2023, and it had us on there. And I'm like, this black on black crime. I never seen the top white podcast of 2023, I never seen that pop up, because they could just live in their own space. They ain't in no competition with each other. Everybody could do what they do, live in their own space and get their money. But niggas, it always got to be a competition with niggas. That's what it gotta be. I'm not in competition with none of y'all. Me and Wallow was in competition with ourselves to be the best fucking version of ourselves. We ain't in competition with none of y'all, because when we look at our bank account say we won. So salute to everybody, but we not doing this black on black crime shit. And first of all, we not no fucking podcast. Let's get that right. We one of the biggest media outlets in the fucking world. Do y'all know another podcast that do Gillie Fest? That bring 15 artists plus Meek Mills and the baby? I'm confused. Do y'all know, can you tell me another podcast that do Gillie and Wallow KO parties? Where you sit 3,000 niggas in an arena and do 37,000 pay-per-view buys to see some niggas from the streets fight? I'm confused. Do another podcast out there got the fastest growing fucking energy drink in the world? Not in the United States, in the world. I'm confused. So we not no motherfucking podcast. Stop trying to put us in a fucking box, because it ain't a box out here big enough to fit us in. Shit, Wallow was just in jail trying to box niggas off his ass, and then he come home, y'all want to put him in another box. Stop that shit, right?
Now, this video is so hilarious because in the first part, Gillie was actually making sense. We truly never see lists that literally states top 10 white podcasts of 2023. They're just called podcasts. Don't try to make it seem like there's only 10 spots for black people to do podcasting. But then Gillie kind of lost me a little bit when he started doing the same thing that he said he didn't want to do. And that's comparing himself to other black people. Saying that you guys got way more money if you try to compare bank accounts is crazy. You can't say you don't want competition between black podcasters, then start flexing everything you guys do better than them. That kind of contradicts the whole point, Gillie. Come on, man. Everybody's top 10 podcast list is always going to change. It's obviously subjective. If you're a fan that's been listening to podcasts for years now, you know exactly what you're getting from each platform. There's no stats that you can run off that's going to make people change their mind about your podcast. I do agree with Gillie that it should never be a competition. It should just be about getting the content to the fans, which is what podcasting is pretty much about. Let's not lose the main essence of podcasting for the sake of trying to be different from the field. We already came into podcasting very late in the game, so trying to compete and shit on each other really does nothing for the long game. Tell me what you guys think about what Gillie said. Do you guys think his message was a bit hypocritical? Post comments below. Subscribe to my channel, like this video. I'll see you guys later.
Hey guys, shop with my boy Chick Smooth at chicksmooth.shop.